What is going on, y'all? FNG the Pro TV here for another video for y'all today. Well, not really another video, just kind of a pre-video. Apologize about two things. I'll turn this down, matter of fact. That fan is really annoying. Yeah, I apologize for being really tired because I just woke up because yesterday was the longest day of my life. I was the FNG, the effing new guy at a shop for the first time. Yesterday was my first day, and it wasn't groundbreaking, it wasn't earth-shattering, and it wasn't, you know, so much of that exciting as I mean, I was super excited to work for the company Firestone, don't get me wrong. I think Bridgestone's a great company. I think Firestone's a great company, you know, in what they do. However, I have some flaws that, you know, that I'm not extremely happy about with, you know, just how the shop is and just, you know, the management behind the shop and everything like that, because let me tell you, the management behind that shop is so bad. It is really bad. But we'll get into that here in a few minutes. I just want to open this can of dip real quick. I have not had a dip yet today, and I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning, and it's, so I've been up for less than 20 minutes. But I figured, why not play some Call of Duty and talk about, you know, this new shop and being the FNG and everything, and just, you know, what did I like, you know, pros and cons of, you know, working at this new shop, and what did I like and what didn't I like, and what could have been better, and, you know, what ultimately could have been worse, really. But I'm gonna pack a dip real quick, so give me 1 second. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm just so exhausted. My body is exhausted. I don't understand why. Because I really did nothing on my first day at Firestone. By the way, good morning to everybody, as well. Okay. A dip of that should wake me up. Get that morning lit. Alright, so let's start a game. I mean, let's play the game. I was gonna play yesterday and tell you all about it yesterday, but I mean, really, I just got tired of playing video games all the fucking time. It just gets boring. It gets really boring playing video games all the time, and that's why I was so excited to go back to work. Where I could work with my hands and just do my own thing, man. So, hopping into this game, though, I'm not by any means trying. I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not a try-hard. I'm looking to snatch a couple kills, maybe, and just have a good time. So I'm just gonna point that out. This stream is not meant to. Don't judge me on my play style right now when it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up and my body is sore and I haven't even had a shower yet. I just wanted to tell you all about the shop, and I was figured I would be dedicated to you guys, as far as, you know, making videos and getting content out there. Even though, you know, I'm being lazy, instead of making a video, I'm just gonna live stream the whole thing. Shoot them. See, I'm already trying to be a tryhard, getting mad because somebody doesn't shoot somebody. But no. Alright, me drinking. No. But, I feel like being negative, so I'm gonna start with the negative parts about this shop. And I'll counteract every negative with a positive, of course, because I'm a I hate you. I'm a very confusing person, I reckon. I don't know why I'm so confusing sometimes. He was waiting for that. So negatives about this shop. Starting off is management, just all the way around. Firestone management is completely bad. Um, it's just like, um, well, let me start with not even just that. Let me start with higher up into the company. Now, this company wants to hire, great techs and whatnot, and that's good. I mean, hire. Hold on, last one. I'm dead. No, hire whatever type text that you want. I mean, it's your business and all of that, and that's great. But here's my thing on it is, if you are going to hire a technician of my caliber, I don't have 20, 30 years of turning wrenches or nothing. But at 5 years of turning wrenches, I went to tech school. That's what put me up and over, a tech at, I'm 19 years old. So being 19 years old and I have 5 years, that means I've been a technician since I was 14. So technically, from 14 to 17. So that, I have 3 years of being a mechanic. But that's still field experience. And then, the past 2 years I've been a tech. I finished tech school at 17. From 14 to 17, 3 years of my life I was sitting in technician school. I was going through all different types of schooling. And that being said, I didn't think you should see me. That being said, I've done a lot. I mean, 3 years of school is a lot. That is, between going to UTI, which we'll talk about, technician schools, going to school at a TV technician school that you've seen on TV. We'll talk about that. And no, it's not that bad as, it's not that big of a ripoff as you would think. But we'll get into that another day. These big branded tech schools. I went to Ford Knowledge Center when I was working at Ford to get certifications to work on Ford vehicles. I have motor certifications, I have transmission certifications, electrical certifications from Ford, and that's big. I mean, those are manufacturer, like, sealed certs. But everybody's like, oh, well, you don't have ASE. Well, I don't have ASE because I worked at a dealership. Dealerships don't require me to have ASE. AC means nothing in a dealership world. What matters in a dealership world is manufacturer certification. So with manufacturer certification, finding time in the shop. So here's the thing. When you're in the shop, you have to be able to sit there on a computer and find time to take these tests in the shop. So here's how you get a certification in the shop at Ford. Turn your 40 hours. Get your 40-hour or your 50-hour work week completed. If it's a busy week where you could easily turn 80 hours, 70 hours, you have to take a loss on that. Turn your 40, 50, maybe even 60 hours, and your first 4 days, and then on Friday you need to sit on that computer and you need to pick up an oil change here and there to take a break from the computer. And you're not going to get in trouble for not working on cars. They're not going to get mad at you for... They're going to get a little bit aggravated that you're not really doing anything. But just be like, look, today's Friday. I'm looking to get some certifications done, some pre-tests going and stuff like that. So they're not going to get mad at you for that. They'll give you tickets that the customer's not coming until the next day to pick up their vehicle. So you can do a diag all day. Just get one car that's a diag and a repair. You know, just bring that car in. You know, it doesn't have to be done till the next day. You know, they're coming to get it, you know, Saturday or whatever. Well, you don't work Saturday. We'll come in Saturday. I mean, you have to make these sacrifices in a dealership world to move up in a dealership world, and that's what I did. Fridays, you know, I'd grab one vehicle and I would work on certification pre-test to go actually go to the 3 days of the actual class and take the test at the end of the 3 days. And at the end of those 3 days, you get a manufacturer sealed certification, which is great. You know, there's not really much more that I can say about, you know, getting a certification at a dealership, because it's pretty much, you know, just, it is what it is. Oh shit. He's in that corner right there. Anyway, so that's, I mean, you gotta sacrifice. You want, my hands hurt. Like, I can't even play this game. If you want dealership certifications, that's, I mean, that's just point blank period. That's what you have to do to get them. You have to make sacrifices. So if you're a slower tech, you've seen his name. I've seen his name. If you're a slower technician, then, you know, it's going to be hard to get certifications until you get faster. And with time, I mean, speed will come with time. The more that you do something, the faster that you will get faster over time, and you'll be able to earn those certifications in the dealership world. And with those certifications, I mean, they're a little bit harder if you're like in the quick lane or something to get, because you're not really, you know, working in the quick lane on a flat rate pay, which is really stupid. Why would you pay flat rate to the quick lane when you're, the biggest job that you'll do in the quick lane is suspension work and, you know, CV axle. You'll do some drivetrain work with like drive shafts and CV axles, and you might do, you know, a rear end seal or something like that. But I mean, you're not doing any motors, or you're not really doing any huge repairs in the quick lane. And in the quick lane, I mean, you might not even see a CV axle for 6 months to, you know, 6 to 8 months, because they're going to pick out what they, you know, trust you to do. When you first get there at a dealership, even if you have, you know, 20 years experience, if you never worked at a Ford, they feel like you're dumb. They feel like you don't know what you're talking about, and they don't trust you to work on their vehicles. For whatever reason, I don't know. I never understood that. For some reason, they just don't trust their technicians when they first start. Because they're like, oh, well, it's a new vehicle, you know, you've messed something up, and then it's gonna be, you know, the end of the world or something, when, you know, it's really not gonna be. But that's how, you know, just, I got way off topic with that, but I figured I'd make a video on it too. I was past that, but okay. That's just pretty much the basics of the gist of, you know, how do you earn a certification? How did I earn mine? Where did I find the time? I just turned a bunch of hours Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, you know, I would work on 3 cars maximum. And if it's like oil changes all day, I might work on like 6 or 7 of them, and, you know, really only turn about 4 hours on Friday. Sometimes I would turn maybe 6 hours, just because I'm very quick. However, it's just, it is what it is. It's very easy to make money off of brake jobs and stuff like that. You can make a lot of money off of brakes. Brakes and suspension work is awesome. I love brakes and suspension, because you can turn mad hours on brakes and suspension only by itself. There's plenty of money to make in it. But at the same time, you know, do I see you turning a 100-hour work week with just brakes and suspension? No, it's just not gonna happen. You need diag time where, you know, you can do a 15. You know, say you get paid for 32.5 to, you know, 1 hour for a diag, and you know, I cut that in half. So if I'm getting paid 30 minutes, I'm not gonna diag for 30 minutes. I'm gonna diag for 15. I'm going to be at 150% efficiency on a diag, and I'm gonna make money off of that diag. Um, I'm gonna, you know, be more time effective and, you know, figure out the problem quicker. But it is what it is. You know, you kind of pick your diag almost. Watch this. But yeah, diag time. I mean, you can be effective with that. I just want this guy to come up these stairs. That's all I want. That's all that I want to happen, is this guy to come up these stairs, so I can just blow him up and finish my discussion on this hole. There he is. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, that's just pretty much how dealership stuff works. And then diag stuff. Make your money in a dealership. If you know, you work in a dealership, make your money like that. I mean, get your certifications like that. Make your money first 4 days of the week, and then the fifth day, I mean, just slack off a little bit on actually working on cars and work on your certifications. Because with those certifications, take advantage of that, and you know, you're gonna get paid more money. You're gonna get a raise for having your certifications, and you'll be trusted to do more work because you are certified to do the work. That's just well, I just blew those up. That was dumb. Anyway, so that's just kind of how certifications work, period, point blank. I mean, there's no easier way for me to explain it right now. You'll make more money like that. But moving back to my original discussion of things, you know, cons of... I'm gonna lean back and relax a little bit before I have to get a shower and go to work. talk to y'all some more. My body is aching so bad. It is what it is, though. I mean, there's just no easier way for me to really explain it to you. Not without really getting in depth, but as far as Firestone, first day management was bad. I mean, it was so bad. So I went to tech school. I went to UTI. I went to Fort Knowledge Center. Like I said, I went to Richmond Tech, and I went to J. Sargent Reynolds for automotive paint and body. At Richmond Tech, paint and body. J. Sargent did automotive, and at UTI I did automotive as well. And then of course Ford, you know, having so at Ford I have a couple certifications with them. I have electrical, I have motors, engine repair 1 and 2, and transmission 1 and 2 as well. I'm certified to do paint and body work. And then on top of that, you know, just going to J. Sarge, having basic automotive 1 and 2, and advanced automotive 1 and 2. So I have certifications to work on cars professionally and just kind of work my way like that. I'm actually gonna play a kind of like, let's see what we got here. Y'all, okay, I was about to say, y'all have like gun game or something? I'd play gun game just to have fun, like a party mode. What else do you have on here? People playing this? No. Play slasher. People are playing this, right? No, nobody's playing that. Okay. Let's play team deathmatch. I don't care. I don't really care about my KD or anything on this game. See, I mean, that's just basically what it is. It's, you know, that's what it comes down to be. I have a bunch of certifications. That's pretty much just how it goes. But you know, the big thing about it is, with Firestone, the management, the higher up management, that I don't like about the thing is they want you to do all these tests. They want you to complete all of these tests on, you know, oh, well, you need to do this and you need to do that and blah blah blah. You gotta have, you know, this module done and that module done, which is so stupid. You're gonna hire a technician that has experience already doing pretty much everything, and then force me to get, quote unquote, you know, the finger wag or whatever, in quotation, Firestone certified. Now, Firestone was not my first choice in a shop. One of the biggest reasons why I went to Firestone was because I have not worked on cars professionally since February, so 4 months ago. It's been 4 months since I've professionally worked on a vehicle. So my first day was a little bit, you know, my first day wasn't the greatest. With that being said, because I haven't done anything really, and then the first thing that they wanted me to do when I finished, you know, I was there for 10 hours. I think I was there for 10 hours. When I was there 8 to 6, so yeah, I was there for 10 hours. In those 10 hours that I worked, it was pretty much, you know, 4 of those hours was testing, and then 6 of those hours was actually, you know, getting to work on a vehicle. Well, 5 of those hours, because I did take an hour. I took an hour lunch break, which I don't know what to tell them about that. I just didn't really care. Okay, you're dick. They didn't tell me how long I could take for lunch, so I was just like, well, I'm a tech, and anywhere else that I worked as a tech, they gave you an hour, so I took an hour. And I don't really feel like, you know, they have any room to tell me, you know, how long I'm allowed to take for lunch when, you know, it's not like I'm getting paid hourly. I'm getting paid flat rate, so really I don't even have to clock out. If I clocked out for lunch, I mean, it wouldn't really make a difference. Because I'm not there on the clock making money. So, I mean, that's just pretty much how it, you know, ends up being. I mean, that's how it crumbles out. Like hourly, it would make sense that, you know, I'm gonna kill you. You're dead. But as far as like, you know, the differences between hourly and flat rate, you know, should you have to clock out to go to lunch hourly? Yeah, because you're not there. And hourly, you're getting paid the entire time that you were there. Flat rate, on the other hand, you're only getting paid for the job. So it's kind of like the initiative, like, hey, if you want to make a full paycheck or more, then, you know, you need to work faster, you need to work more efficiently, and you have to work harder to make your money. I mean, that's just a shop life. I mean, you make flat rate based pay. So, you know, rear brakes, you know, you do a rear brake job or whatever, you're getting paid an hour. You know, for me, a rear brake job, if I'm just doing, you know, just changing brake pads on, you know, shoot. If I'm doing like rear pads or whatever, you know, I'm getting paid an hour or whatever. I don't really know how much just changing brake pads pays. A full brake job, rotors and all, pays an hour. However, something more along the lines, okay, I don't know why you didn't die, but I'm gonna switch my gun. You know, just doing brake pads pays probably pays 30 minutes, I don't know. But as far as, I just don't know. I never really kept track of, you know, how much a job pays, because when you're a tech, the worst thing to do is to watch that clock. Your best bet is to just jump right into it, get to work, and make your money. Oh, you scared me. Just get in the job, do it as fast as you can. I mean, that's the best advice I can give you. I mean, don't sit there and, if you're a new tech and, you know, you're thinking about working flat rate, but, you know, they're offering you hourly to start off before you start actually working a flat rate pay, until you're comfortable to work flat rate and you don't really know how long it takes you to do repairs or whatever, the best advice that I can give you is to kind of just sit back and relax and just, you know, pull your phone out. You know, your phone has a stopwatch on it, so I was knifing you, but you wouldn't die. Pull that stopwatch out, and I mean, just sit there. Just sit there with that stopwatch and, you know, time your repairs. See how long it takes you to do, you know, stuff like brake jobs and, you know, different repairs and stuff like that. Just sit there and, you know, figure it out. It's not rocket science. A a lot of people think, oh, well, working on cars is difficult. Well, it's, you know, it's really, I mean, it's one of the easier things to do, honestly. If you have the right tools to do it, that's a big thing, buying tools as well. Just kind of annoying. I wish I didn't have to buy tools, because I wish shops just provided tools, especially like specialty tools and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to buy a tool that's like a special tool that I'm never gonna use and pay like $300 for it and like never use it. That's just annoying. You know, I might use that tool, you know, a handful of times or whatever. But I mean, other than that, if I'm just using a tool a handful of times and, you know, I pay $300 for it, the amount of jobs that, so this is how you pay for your tools, really. Your tools pay for themselves. You know, you take a loss on it, but, you know, you buy a set of wrenches, right, that you're going to use every single day. You know, you pay, you know, $200 for a full set, $300 for a full set of, you know, metric wrenches. You know, you're putting up about, you know, whatever amount, and it's usually, you know, it's probably about, you know, $300 for a full set. But within all of that, you know, how long is it going to take you for that tool to make your money back off of it? Not very long at all, because you use it every day. So making your money back off of tools is, you know, the biggest. It's just the biggest thing, in my opinion. You know, figure it out. How long is it gonna take for that tool to, you know, pay off? Because once you buy the tool with your hard-earned money, so from there, you know, that tool, you know, you paid for it. You took, you know, you take a loss on it at first. So that initial purchase on it is, you know, a loss or whatever. And it is what it is. I mean, you take a little bit of a setback to buy a tool, and then, you know, make your money back with that tool. The tool is there to make you money. So say you use that tool and you used it on, you know, whatever repairs that you used it on, whatever repairs that you use that tool to, you know, fix a vehicle. Anytime that you use it and you made money off of that job, that counts towards, you know, it's starting to accumulate, you know, money back. So from there, it's like, okay, so I've used this tool X amount of times, and, you know, it's $300 for the set. So I'm using these tools, I'm using these wrenches, and it's like, okay, I paid $300 for them. Okay, I made $300 back. So now the tool paid for itself. And then you're going to continue to use that wrench for the rest of your career. So really from there, that tool was an investment to make more money off of it. And that's what people fail to see all of the time. I don't buy tools unless they are going to make me money. If I'm not going to use them, I'm not going to buy them. Simple as that. Now sometimes, you know, I have no choice but to buy a tool. You know, I get in the situations where I start seeing, you know, like BMW. I've been seeing more and more BMW. I would prefer to work on Toyota, Ford, and GM vehicles, because Toyotas are really easy, Honda's really easy. Toyota, Honda, GM, and Ford, I mean, those are the easiest vehicles to work on, unless it's like a hybrid, which then it's annoying. Or, you know, hybrid vehicles, battery operated vehicles, you know, that's, you know, something that I don't really have a clue on how to repair. I know how to repair gas engines and diesel engines. I don't have a freaking clue how to repair an engine that is, you know, battery operated or whatever. I'm not sure if, I don't even know what the inside of an electric engine looks like. I've never worked on one, so I can't really give you an idea of that at all. I would assume that it would be, I don't know, I guess it'd be the same as a gas motor. It's just fueled differently. The power source is different. So I'm assuming that, you know, it has pistons and all of that, and, you know, it's the same thing, whatever. But, and then it's just, you know, instead of, you know, combusting fuel, it is, you know, just run by a power source. I would reckon that's how that works. You know, it is what it is at that standpoint. You know, without, you know, any knowledge on that, I just don't know. I couldn't really give you guys. I can't really give you guys an idea of, you know, what it's like to work on an electric motor. I just don't have an idea myself. So, but from there, moving on from that standpoint, going back to the Firestone thing, management, you know, you want me to do this, you want me to do that, blah blah blah, a bunch of tests. And I mean, there's so many tests. There's like 30 tests, 30 like module tests that you have to do, and on top of that, there's one on there that's literally like, it's called the road trip the essentials module, that literally doesn't talk about anything automotive. It's literally just talking about Bridgestone, the company, and, you know, where they were founded and everything. And it takes an hour. It takes like an hour and a half to complete it. And it's so tedious because you can't like skip through the video and just take the test. You have to watch the video all the way through. So like that one, I worked on that one a little bit. I don't know if it, you know, saves itself or whatever, or, you know, next time that I open it, I'll probably have to restart or whatever. You know, it says in progress, but I doubt that it's still, you know, gonna work next time that I get on the computer to go back to it. So I did all my, you know, first day and first week tests or whatever. But after this week, you know, there's still more tests and like videos that I have to watch. There's more videos and stuff that I'm gonna have to watch and finish. Which, it sucks because I won't be making any money. Am I gonna get paid to do it? Yes, I'll make hourly. I'll make an hourly pay to sit there and do it. So as long as I take, the longer that I take on it, the more money I'm gonna sit there and make. However, I could be making more money off of repairing vehicles, doing flat rate pay, turning hours. So, you know, getting paid an hour to do a 25-minute job. You know, I made, you know, like, what, 35, yeah, 35 minutes. I mean, I made 35 minutes worth of pay. Like, I'm, you know, pro-efficient right there. I'm making money off of that repair. You know, your goal is to have 100% efficiency, which says, you know, if that car takes an hour, pays an hour, and you take that full hour to repair it, that's fine. But just know you're not going to turn any overtime hours doing that unless you just work on so many vehicles that it's like, okay, I did an hour, an hour, an hour. So if you got paid an hour for every car every single day, and you worked, you know, you worked whatever said time, and, you know, you're there for 10 hours and you made a hour and took an hour on every single vehicle you work on, then, you know, you made 10 hours for the day. You work 5 days a week, that's 50 hours right there. That's your goal, to be 100% efficient. So if you're working 50 hours a week, then if you're in that shop for 50 hours a week, then I'm gonna tell you what, you better be making, you need to make the money off of every minute that you're there. You need to be getting paid for it. So be efficient, and know that, you know, strive to work on cars faster, because there's going to be repairs that pay a crappy amount of time that take longer than what they pay. So when you get into situations like that, so say, you know, you're getting paid an hour for this brake job, however, this brake job is just, you know, it's terrible, you know, the bolts are rusted on, and, you know, they don't want to come off, and you're having to fight a repair or something. You're going to want to, you know, you're going to take a loss on that repair. That's why you want to work fast. Because when you start taking more time to do a repair than when it, you know, pays, then you're losing money. You're only at like 80% efficiency, so 20% you didn't get paid for 20% of a repair to your hourly wages on that flat rate ticket. So that's things that you got to think about, and I mean it's really simple. I mean, like today, I got a 30-minute repair. I had a 30-minute repair to fix this rear view mirror. The rear view mirror got ripped off. It has a metal button clip that goes on there, and it took me a little bit of time to repair it, honestly. You know, it paid 30 minutes, and I took 19 extra minutes, 20 extra minutes, just say that. So I took, you know, 50 minutes so I lost out on 20 minutes of pay. However, the only reason why I lost out on money was because I've never done a rear view mirror. I had to fight the little metal button clip that's inside of it that is stuck to the windshield. So having to fight that was annoying. And there's a lot of sanding, and you know, you got to take sandpaper and sand it down and get, you know, the adhesive glue off of it that's on there. That's all, you know, stuck on there, and then you have to take a razor blade and scrape it off. And then you need to use, like, you know, you have to use this activating strip or whatever, which now that I think about it, I didn't even use the alcohol pad. I never used the alcohol pad. I only used the little bluish green activator pad. It's like a wet nap. I only use that, and you have to put that on the button and wipe it on the windshield too. You know, it works as an activator. And then you're gonna take this adhesive glue, this tube of adhesive glue, and you know, put a drop. It says 1 drop. It said put 1 drop on there, but let's be honest, I put like 2.5 drops on it. That's just what I did. It was dumb, you know, I didn't really listen to the instructions at all. But at the end of the time, it says, you know, take this adhesive glue and, you know, put you know, a drop or whatever on there. Well, I put 2.5 drops on there, and then it says, well, now you need to take it, remember which way it goes on there. So now I'm sitting here, you know, looking at it like, okay, once I stick this to the windshield, I'm not going to be able to take it back off, because then I'm going to have to restart, have to clean, sand it back down, and, you know, I'm going to have to redo everything. So I sat there and took about, you know, 2 minutes to figure out, you know, I wanted to be 100% certain that I was going to, you know, stick it on there right, which I stuck it on there a little bit crooked as well, but it doesn't really matter. I was just trying to hurry up, but then you got to hold it, you know, press it to the windshield for like a minute, and then you have to let it sit there for 30 minutes to seal itself on there, and just, you know, stick itself and make sure it holds itself on there. And then from there, after that 30 minutes, then you can take the rear view mirror and use the mounting bracket and just slide it over that piece of metal, and it just clicks in, and then once it's on there, and then you're done. So I got paid 30 minutes where it took 50 minutes to do it. So it was cool. It was a cool little repair that I got to do for the first time. I've never had to do that before. I like doing new repairs. I really enjoy doing, you know, new repairs and doing things like that. It's cool to do something new. Or like a speedometer. Putting a new speedometer in a car is something that I did for the first time a couple months ago, and I really like doing that repair as well. I just thought that repair was, you know, something cool that I've never got to do it before. I had no idea what I was doing, simply because I've never done a speedometer thing before, and really all it is a piece of plastic that has, you know, 3 plugs that go into the back of it or whatever, which that's the easy part, just sliding it in and, you know, putting, you know, the sliding it in there, putting, you know, the plugging it in, and then, you know, you got to put 4 little bolts in there to secure it down into the dash. But the hardest part about it is there's like a speed, like there's, I don't know how to explain it, it's like the speedometer, like little string, it's like a little string that goes on there, and that goes on the you gotta clip that on like this little hook or whatever, which that was annoying and that was hard to do because you have to like lay on your back in the floorboard and kind of just look for it and feel for it and go from there. So I mean, there's things like that that get annoying, but as far as that repair went, I mean, that was something cool. I mean, I like doing things, little things like that. I mean, they don't pay all that much money, but they don't really require you to do very much either. So they don't require you to do very much. So it's cool to be able to do a new repair. When you get to do, like, it's like being a brand new tech all over again. Where you, I didn't see him at all. But like getting to be a new tech was, you know, it's really cool being a new tech because every repair that you're gonna do is gonna be something new, and that's the cool thing about working on cars is, you know, hey, I fixed that, hey, I worked on that, hey, I made that, you know, do what it's supposed to do. You know, you get to make people happy, and I think that's just interesting. I mean, saving somebody, from, you know, their car or whatever because, you know, they don't know how to fix it or just don't have the time to fix it. I just find that to be really interesting. You know, it gets annoying too, don't get me wrong. I mean, you get into tight spots and different things like that. Like spark plugs are really annoying sometimes. You know, there's going to be repairs that, you know, you like over other ones. Me personally, my favorite thing to do is to change brakes. I love changing brakes because it's so easy and I can make a lot of money doing it. A lot of people hate doing drum brakes. Me personally, I don't mind doing drum brakes because it's easy. You know, people hate doing drum brakes. They're like, oh, it's so difficult, it's so annoying, it's so, you know, off the wall, and it's just like, well, I mean, do the repair. I mean, it's not something that you really should complain about doing drum brakes. A lot of people don't like them because they don't really understand how the system works. Like the wheel cylinder, a lot of people hate changing wheel cylinders, and the wheel cylinder is so simple. It's, I mean, it's like most of the time 2 to 3 nuts on the back, and then, you know, maybe a 4th one to take the brake line off, and people don't, they just don't want to do that. And then, you know, it has a self adjuster on there too. People hate changing, pulling the emergency brake cable off and, you know, working with that, and they just get very, I think people who have trouble with drum brakes, they just haven't worked on enough of them to really understand the concept of them. I mean, they are not hard. They're one of the easiest repairs that you're going to do as well, and I mean, they're not hard to do. Pull the drum off, pull the shoes off, whatever. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Drum brakes are easy to do, they're quick to do, especially if you have that that spring tool. It's like a screwdriver almost, where, you know, you just turn it to the left and then the spring comes out. instead of sitting there with, you know, a pair of pliers and a screwdriver trying to pull them all off. It's really nice to have that tool though, because it takes those springs off very easily. So a lot of people, I mean, people struggle. I mean, everybody struggles with something over, you know, something that, you know, somebody else might not struggle with. Something that I hate doing, for instance, is like a turning brakes. I don't like to turn brakes. You know, it's using a piece of machinery that I'm just not used to using. So turning brakes, you know, it's not really my thing. And when you turn a brake or a brake rotor, I mean, it's pretty much you're just cutting new grooves into it. Which it's an essential thing to know, because you're not supposed to replace brake rotors. I mean, you can turn brakes, you know, a couple of times before, you know, they're no good anymore. I mean, it comes down to a measurement thing. It comes down to a measurement thing at the end of the day. So it's just kind of like, it's just one of those things. I mean, people don't like to do it. Me personally, I don't like to turn brakes either. One of the reasons why I don't like to turn brakes is because it takes like 15 minutes a rotor. You know, you set it up, whatever, you know, you get it to go on there, and then, you know, you're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I mean, you just gotta wait. And people will turn brakes. I mean, they'll do it 3-4 times. Me personally, I just turn them one time. I'm not gonna cut the brake more than once. I'll cut that brake rotor one time, maybe twice. If it's really like warped out, and then I'll turn it twice. But most of the time, I'll just turn a brake rotor one time. I'll let the cutter, I mean, I'll let it, you know, cut it, and then I will move away from that and then move on with my life. It's just things like that that people just don't like to do. But it's not the end of the world. A lot of people think everything's the end of the world. It's just not. It's just things like that. You just gotta get used to stuff. I mean, it is what it is. But moving back to the main topic of Firestone, I don't like taking all those video tests and everything. Already been in tech school and all that, so it's kind of annoying, and I'm not making really any money doing it. I'm making my hourly pay by sitting there, getting paid hourly to do it compared to flat rate, where I could be doing repairs, doing what I like to do, which is repairing vehicles. Another big thing that I didn't like was in-store management. So I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but the, you know, main manager, whatever, the store manager, I like him. He's kind of weird. He's kind of awkward or whatever. I don't think he means any disrespect to me or anything like that, you know, when I say something to him. But, you know, he's just kind of socially awkward, and I'm a little bit over the top of a person. So people, you know, they're real laid back, and, you know, they're like, ugh, and they're like the type of person that, like, you know, when they reply to you, they grunt instead of, you know, actually saying something back to you. So that's kind of like, you know, kind of how guys in a shop are. They're kind of like those, you know, people that are, they're kind of like those people that, you know, can't hold a conversation very well. And I mean, nobody in a shop, I mean, working in a shop at 19 when you're surrounded by, you know, 30 to 50 year olds, typically, Um, it's kind of like, eh. And then on top of that, when you do get people in that shop that are like within actually within your age group, so you know, for me 18 to 23 is like around my age group. It's kind of hard working with those techs as well, because a lot of them within 19 or 18 to 23, you're mostly just a parts changer. You don't know how to do anything. So it's kind of hard, especially being the FNG, with other people like that, who have been there for a couple months or whatever, and they're just on top of the world. They think they're gonna teach you something because you're younger than them, but in reality you probably know more than them, and that gets really annoying sometimes. Plus a lot of them, they're not really into the same things as you are, so there's not really much there's just not much that you can say to them that you get along in that sense. So I mean, I don't know, it just determines what the people are. But as far as the assistant manager there, he was kind of I wasn't really a fan of him, mostly because being my first day, I don't know where anything is at. I have a general idea of from just from like a shop tour and whatnot. Do I know where things are? Yeah, I mean, I know where stuff is. I know the general area of where they're at. However, like, one thing that I asked for, so my first vehicle that I got to work on, I was asking, what can I do now that I'm, done with all these tests and everything. I said, I said, what do you want me to do now? And the store manager said, well, go out there and, help him, finish that BMW, do the oil change. It needs 2 front tires and an oil change completed on it. Which is fine. Two front tires and an oil change, not a big deal at all. But they were low profile rims with run flat tires on it, so, and they are directional, so it's kind of that gets a little bit annoying. But he asked me, he said, how comfortable are you with tires? Well, the first repair that I do on the day is, what I want to do compared to, this and that, whatever. Whatever the case may be. Did I want to do those tires on that BMW? No. He said, how comfortable are you with doing those tires? And I said, I'm not feeling confident about it. Because it has been so long since I've been in a shop. I mean, it's been a couple of months, so it was more of, why are you not dying? I just didn't feel comfortable with doing that repair. So he was like, okay, well, just, you go do the oil change, whatever. I said, okay, that's, that's fine. That's perfectly okay by me. I don't mind doing the oil change on that vehicle. An oil change takes a second to do, pull the plug out and drain the oil. As far as, using an oil pan to, drain that oil out and whatnot. Was I comfortable with that? Yeah, I mean, I went back there, I grabbed an oil pan. I mean, I seen the oil pan was sitting right there in that corner, so I grabbed that, rolled it under it, pulled the plug out, drained the oil out, and then it came down to, okay, I'm looking for the filter underneath. There's a skid plate. Luckily, with the skid plate, how it was set up, I didn't need to pull any pieces off. So that was good. No pieces needed to come off. I could visually see the oil plug sitting in front of me. Not the end of the world, right? Well, then what it turned into be after that was, now he has these tires, and then you know, I'm doing your repair for you, right? I mean, fine, whatever. I'm doing your repair, not a big deal. I mean, it is. I mean, it is what it is. I did your repair. I didn't really get paid for it. I did the repair for you, and then it turned into a. It turned into a thing like, okay, well now we'll just. Oh, that's cool. I haven't used this gun. What it turned into be after that was, you know, okay, well, you got this completed, so, and then he walked away, and when he walked away, well, first, I had a little bit of oil on my hands, so, and I didn't have any gloves on, because I don't have any gloves at the moment, so it was more of a, you know, since I don't have any gloves, and I got oil on my hands, so I asked him, I was like, you know, hey, do we have any shop rags, and, you know, where would they be at? I never got told anything. He's like, well, we don't use shop rags, we use, you know, shop towels. Okay, well, that's fine. And he was like, well, there's, you know, an extra box over there, and I was like, okay, so let me go find these shop towels. So I mean, it's like a big box of, you know, blue shop towels that you gotta rip them off. So I grabbed some shop you know, towels, and, you know, wipe my hands up, and then he was balancing the tires and whatnot, and he got the tires balanced out, and then it turned into, you know, well, I'm done with my wrenches because I did the oil change. Let me go ahead and put my wrenches back in my toolbox, which was across the shop. So I came back and I was like, you know, was this filter on the top? And he said yes, and I said okay. So I pulled it up and I dropped it down. I was like, okay, well, I identified where the oil filter was. It was a canister oil filter. I don't have any filter cups because I don't do oil changes. I haven't done oil changes or tires in probably a year. I've always done, you know, bigger repairs and whatnot. So it wasn't really like, you know, I didn't exactly need to have these tools. And even when I was doing oil changes, you know, I didn't have filter cups because, well, I did have them at one point. However, they were small and they weren't, you know, these big filter cups, whatnot, that, you know, these guys are using. And I was like, well, I don't have any filter cups. I said, do you have any? He said, no. And I said, okay. He's like, go check the shop box. And I was like, I don't even know where the shop tool. I didn't even know the shop had a community chest, pretty much. He's like, yeah, it's over there. And I checked it, and there was nothing there. He was like, get a pair of pliers, use a pair of pliers to take it off. I said, well, that's not gonna work, but okay. Put a pair of pliers on it, and I was like, well, this is plastic, so if I put a pair of pliers on this, it's probably gonna crack the, you know, the canister. So he was like, and then he got mad about that because I couldn't get it off with the pliers, and I was like, dude, you're making a big deal about this. Just give me a filter cup. Find me a filter cup. I don't know where to find one. He's like, well, ask, you know, the lead, you know, the big manager, if he has any in his toolbox. And I was like, okay, and he said no. And, you know, he gave me a big pair of channel lock pliers that, you know, I don't have great big channel lock pliers because, you know, I don't use them. So that's what that turned into be. So then the assistant store manager got, you know, he's pissed off at me at this point. I'm just like, dude, it's not the end of the world. I'm just trying to take this canister filter out and replace it. So then he asked another tech for him, and another tech did have them, even though he just told me nobody in the shop probably has, you know, a filter cup that big. So I was like, okay, whatever. But another tech did end up having a filter cup that fit, and then he got these filter cups, and he's sitting here trying to, like, you know, figure out how to fit this filter cup on there. I'm just like, why didn't you just give me the tool? I don't need you to find the tool for me. I don't know. It was just aggravating. that, you know, this guy, I don't know, I was just getting, I was just getting pissed off at him, and he was getting pissed off at me. There's just a bad communication thing going on between us already, and it's just like, when I first met him, he was nice. I mean, he was asking me, you know, where have you worked before, and what do you know how to do? And I was just like, this, blah, blah, blah. He asked me if I worked at Richmond Ford, and I told him, yeah, I worked at Richmond Ford. He had a Richmond Ford t-shirt on for work today, or yesterday, and that's just what it was. And he was like, oh, okay, you worked at a dealership, blah, 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 but, you know, not a big deal. And it was like, but at the same time, it was like he was offended by me working at a dealership or something. Like, you know, you work at a Firestone, and he's like, this young kid worked at a dealership, and it's like, he never worked at one, so it was like he was pissed off that a dealership would hire me, and, you know, he couldn't get hired at one. So he was like mad about that or some shit. I'm just like, it's not a big deal. It's a dealership. It's just another shop. It's not, you know, yes, is it harder to get hired there compared to somewhere else? Yeah, a little bit. Not too much or anything like that, but it was like, whatever. I'm not gonna sit there and stress over it. I'm not upset about it. So I don't know why you're upset about it. So then what it turned out to be after that was, you know, this oil change is done now. You know, he's talking to this guy, and he's just, you know, he had one tire laid down beside the car, like, he wanted me to put it on, and I was just like, well, I'm not really, you know, I was told to do this oil change, whatever. I don't know, I was just kind of anxious and kind of nervous at the same time, because, you know, this isn't my car. I'm not getting paid to work on this car. I don't know what this car needs. I don't know what the repair is for this car. You know, I read the ticket and whatnot. You know, it needed, you know, an alignment check, whatever. Not a big deal, but it's like, you know, I'm not comfortable, you know, I just wasn't feeling confident or comfortable doing anything, because I didn't want to get fucking, I didn't feel like getting yelled at for some bullshit that, you know, I didn't want to take advantage, like, oh, well, you know, I'm supposed to be doing that, blah, 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 and then it turned out to be more of like, you know, this guy is just, he's just pissed off at the world or something, man, and I'm just like, you know, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's really just not a big deal. Let me, you know, help you finish this car. Well, the next thing that happened from that standpoint was, you know, I'm putting the tires back on, and, you know, he walked away, and there's a tire sitting beside the car, and then there's, you know, other than that, you know, other than there being a tire that needed to be put back on the car, and then, you know, there's another tire sitting on the balancing machine that he just left there. And I mean, I looked at the screen, it said okay, it was balanced, and I was like, well, at least I don't have to balance this tire. So that was, you know, fine, wasn't a big deal. Yeah, it wasn't like this big huge deal or whatever. I mean, I opened the safety lid and sat it back down, and, you know, let it spin one more time to see if it was balanced out, and it turned out to be that this tire was balanced out, and it was, you know, it was ready to be put back on the car. So I pulled it off the balancing machine, you know, put all the balancing tools back on it, the balancing machine, and then I moved on. And then, you know, it's a BMW, so it doesn't have any wheel studs, so in order to put this tire back on, you have to either, one, have the screw-in stud that helps you sit it back on there, or you can do what I do and just sit it on there and then get it lined up, and then, you know, hold the tire and wheel with one hand, and then, you know, start putting lug nuts in it, you know, hand tight. And that's what I did on both sides. And then I was like, well, I don't have an impact wrench because my impact wrench got broke, and it wasn't warranted, so I couldn't have it fixed. And I don't have any money right now because I just started working for the first time again in 4 months. So that was a little bit aggravating. So I was like, well, I need an impact gun. And they have one impact wrench for the shop to use, which is fine. But what it comes down from that, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and, you know, there's other guys in there that just do oil and tires, which is fine. You know, that's their thing. That's what they do. They're trying to make their money, you know, just like I'm trying to make mine. So I'm not going to sit there and hog up on that and run around looking for, you know, the mechanic or you know, the lube tech, looking for, you know, hey, where's the impact wrench at, that sort of thing. So what it really, you know, turned out to be after that was more of a, you know, this guy has his Matco, you know, impact wrench sitting right there. So I picked it up, whatever, put a torque stick on it. The shop uses a red torque stick to torque the wheels down, and then they want you to sit the car down, kiss the tires on the ground, and then, you know, take a actual torque wrench, and from there, you know, torque the lug nuts down by hand. Guarantee they're tight, and you know, they actually have a snap-on torque wrench, which was, you know, something really interesting. I was surprised they had a snap-on torque wrench to torque these wheels back down, which it wasn't the digital one, it was the just simple torque wrench or whatever, but where you just kind of slide it, move the gauge up and down. So I just put it at 100. I'm not gonna sit here, I mean, on the ticket, the cool thing about the ticket with them is they have two ways to show you how much torque is supposed to go on the lug nuts to make them tight, what the manufacturer wants them at. But they put them on the bottom at the ticket. They say this is what these, you know, the wheels need to be torqued down to. And then, you know, they said, you know, it's not always going to be on there, but it's a good thing to look for if it is on the ticket at the bottom left. And so, you know, this BMW needed to be, I asked the manager, I was like, you know, do you know what the torque spec's supposed to be? I said, I think it's 80 on a BMW car. And he's like, oh, well, it's on the ticket, I think. And so I looked at the ticket. He's like, yeah, it's right here. And I was like, oh. And it turned out to be 88. So I was, you know, I would have been 8 foot-pounds away from being correct, which it would have been fine if I put it at 80. But I mean, being at 88, me personally, what I like to do is I just like to torque wheels down to 100. I mean, for a truck, I'll put it at like 120 or whatever. I tend to put trucks at about 120. You know, mid-sized trucks at 120, and if it's like a big truck, I'll put it at 160. So if it's like, you know, a quarter ton or a half ton, it's, you know, 120. And if it's like a full-size truck, then I'll put it at 160. That's just kind of like my general go-to. I'm not gonna, you know, go to spec on a freaking lug nut. If they're a little bit too tight, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's not like I'm... No, I'm just gonna shoot you with a pistol. But what it came out to be, you know, after all said and done, it just wasn't a big deal. But I was just aggravated with the freaking assistant manager because he's just kind of like a dick. It's like he's the shop foreman and he's on the floor. He's supposed to be there to answer questions and help the shop run more efficiently. But I just seem like I feel like he's kind of like lazy in a way. Like he just doesn't want to do anything. So that's kind of aggravating to me that, you know, you're just kind of like, you're just there to collect a paycheck and you're not really there to do your job at all. Another thing that got on my nerves was, the whole time I'm sitting on a computer, I got customers coming in, and, the manager that, works up front, he's supposed to be talking to customers and, ringing people up and, checking people out and, getting them checked in and setting appointments up and everything. And when he walks away, I'm sitting in, the back, on the back computer, doing these tests or whatever. And these are all cons of, my first day. So, I got customers asking me questions, and, I'm being nice. I'm like, okay, well, I work here, so, it's my shop now, too. But, I got, these people asking me questions and stuff. It's just not, I'm like, hello, how you doing? How you doing today, ma'am? How you doing today, sir? This and that, whatever, not a big deal. And then it's just like, I have these people like getting frustrated with me because I'm just sitting there on the computer, and they think I'm just sitting on the computer ignoring them, but I'm sitting on the computer. I have to explain to these people, look, I'm just doing some stuff on the computer back here. I'm not, it's my first day. Look, it's my first day. And to them, they're like, oh, it's your first day, so you're not working, you're just sitting on a computer. And they don't understand that I'm not a customer service, person. I'm a technician. So that's just something that people were, customers were getting pretty frustrated with me because they felt like, I was just being lazy and wasn't doing my job. However, to be professional, but being professional but being honest at the same time, it's not my job to speak with customers. That's just the best way that I can put it. I mean, it just is not my it's not my place. It's not my job. I mean, I'm not talking to customers because I don't want to. It's more of, I don't want to give them false information about a service that I have no clue. When it's all said and done, and over with, whatnot, I just don't have the answers that. I just don't have the answers to their questions, pretty much. That's just what it comes down to be. I can't answer you specifically on something that you want to know due to the pure fact of, I just don't know. I mean, there's nothing that I can say other than, hey, look, it's my first day. I don't know. Later on, whatever, later on down the road, will I know answers to, customer questions like that if I'm up front? Yeah, I could probably, further assist them on something. However, getting on the computer and, ringing somebody up or checking them out, getting them their vehicle back, that's not something that I'm ever going to be able to really help them do, because it's not my job. I don't have access to, the register if they pay cash or anything like that. So, I mean, it's just, at that standpoint, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do to further assist you. So, a heads up, if you ever do go to, a shop or whatever, and there's a technician that, they just don't really look like they work up front, and they seem like they're ignoring you or whatever, it's because they cannot help you. And they're not ignoring you because they don't want to help you. They're just they're not really ignoring you either. They acknowledge that you're there. And that's another thing for, FNGs and techs and stuff like that. If you are sitting up front, acknowledge a customer. Don't let them feel like you're ignoring them. Me personally, my go-to throughout the day was, pretty much, you know, how you doing? A service advisor, you know, the service advisor will be right back, and he can assist you or help you. So I mean, that's just pretty much what that came out to be. But as far as being back in the shop, I mean, yeah, after I got the tires on that BMW, you know, I put it back down on the ground, whatever, kicked the lift in, and then what it turned out to be, from the standpoint after that was, whatever, not a big deal for anything. It was more of a, things got pretty hectic and they got pretty annoying at some parts of the day. However, you know, professionally, could I handle it? Yes, very, very simply could I handle, you know, situations like that. It wasn't, you know, the end of the world, for me or for really anybody else. It was odd. And then out of nowhere, I was doing a repair on that rear view mirror, and out of nowhere, you know, the shop, you know, the team leader or whatever, he was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Yes sir," and he said, "You know how to do brakes?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you do the brakes on that Honda CRV right there that you were diagnosing and you measured out and everything?" I was like, "Yeah, I can do that." He's like, "Okay." And then I looked over there. I got out the car, Lexus, and got up and I looked over there just to confirm that the parts were already there, and there they were. They were sitting there, you know, brand new pads. I was like, "Oh, well, I just gotta do brake pads. That's fine, not a big deal." So I got out and I started to work on that. And working on that was very simple. 13 millimeter, two, you know, caliper bracket, or two caliper bolts into, you know, the slide pins or whatever. Two bolts right there to pull the caliper off, and two 13 millimeter bolts on, you know, each rear caliper, which I went ahead and most of the time when I do brakes, like drum brakes, I won't pull but one side apart at a time, just so I have a reference, from the other side if I do get confused. I don't get confused very often, but sometimes, you know, with drum brakes I get a little discouraged, because, you know, they're mostly all the same. However, you know, I just might forget, you know, where one spring goes compared to another one. You get a baggie of, you know, when you get a baggie of brake hardware, for drum brakes, it's just a bag of springs, pretty much. I mean, that's what you get within the brake kit. So that, you know, I just leave one side on. But with brake calipers, I mean, they're pretty basic, so I just go ahead and pull the calipers off each side, and then, if I need to, I'll get, you know, a bungee cord or something to hang them up. But most of the time within that, I will just go ahead and pull the calipers off and lay them on, you know, the control arm. If that's a rear control arm and I'm doing rear, like the Honda CRV, they have a control arm that you could very easily sit a little tiny brake caliper on without a problem. So it's just not the end of the world. Don't, you know, that was that. I mean, I did this brake job. I took the calipers off, you know, greased the backing plate of the pad, and, you know, I just pretty much at the end of the day, I just slid this brake pad back on, you know, slapped, you know, two new brake pads in, took the C-clamp, grabbed the C-clamp out of my toolbox, and within that I, you know, compressed the piston back down, whatever, not a big deal, and from there moved on to, you know, sliding the brake pads back into it. You know, again, it was a pretty basic repair that I've done a million times, so I wasn't discouraged about it. I mean, I was confident about doing that without any issue within, so it just wasn't a big deal. I mean, I wasn't gonna make a big deal over a brake job. I mean, it was very simple. The cool thing within that the cool thing within that brake job though was sorry, I'm just trying to get this. I just want to get this helicopter. That's all I want to do is get this helicopter right now. Okay, I know where he's at. I don't know where that guy went. I got my helicopter. Anyway, so I mean, it's a simple brake job. Wasn't a big deal. One of the cool things about it though was the store manager actually came out to check and see that, like, okay, you're doing an actual repair right now. Let me check up on him, see how he's doing with that. And as he came out, I was, you know, taking the slide pins out of the brake calipers and, you know, greasing those up with the brake grease. And he was actually really happy about that. He was like, you are the first person to work in this shop in so long that actually greases up slide pins. And I said, yeah, it's part of the brake job. I mean, if I'm gonna do a brake job, I'm gonna do it all the way. I don't do hack jobs. I mean, if I'm getting paid to, you know, do a repair or whatever, I'm gonna do the repair how it's, you know, I'm gonna do a repair how it's meant to be done. And then I was pulling, you know, I was pulling the brake hardware out of the brake calipers. And as I was pulling the brake hardware off, he was like, what are you doing with that? I was like, I'm replacing the little metal bracket pieces, part of the hardware in the caliper. He said, well, you don't really have to do that, you know. And I said, I know I don't have to do it. I don't have to do anything. I'm choosing to do it because it's just how I run. When I do a repair, I do the repair all of the way. I don't, just because it's something obnoxious like, you know, a metal piece, a little metal clip or whatever inside of the brake, it's still, at the end of the day, it's still part of the, you know, it's still part of the brake system. And for that brake system to stay maintained and work properly, that means not doing hack jobs. That means doing a repair specifically correct and not, you know, halving out on it. I mean, do the repair. You're getting paid. I mean, customers are paying good money for, you know, their, you know, brakes to be replaced, whatever. They may see it as, you know, oh, well, I just needed pads, and, you know, you're going above and beyond to, you know, keep their brake system maintained. That's just how you do it. I mean, it's so simple to find a mechanic that's just a parts exchanger that will just do that. But that's, let me turn this music off. You know, I'm getting paid to do this job, so I'm gonna do it all the way. If I'm getting paid an hour to do these brakes, then I'm going to use, I'm not gonna take an hour to do it, not at all. I would be dumb to take a full hour to do a brake job. There's just no real reason that you need to take an hour to do a brake job. However, if you're getting paid to fix this brake system, and within that brake kit that you get, whatever parts that's in that box you need to replace. Those parts would not be in the box if they weren't meant to be replaced. So if you have the parts there and they come in the kit, then go ahead and, you know, start pulling pieces off and start repairing them. I mean, that's just how it is. A lot of people just, when they do pads, they don't pull those little metal pieces out. And I just don't like the idea of that. I like to do it properly, and maintain a customer's vehicle. A lot of, you know, technicians and mechanics, they will, you know, they'll do half of the job properly, like that, because they know that, you know, I'm not saying all of them do it that reason. Some people don't do it because they just want to hurry up and they just don't want to fiddle with a little, you know, thin piece of metal. But some people see it as an opportunity to pretty much take advantage of a customer, as in, oh, well, if I don't replace this, well, because I don't replace that, that means your brakes will, you know, over time you're going to need to have that repaired if it's not fixed right now. And then when it does need to be fixed, then that's when they'll fix it. That's not the way to do it. Setting a customer up for failure, for their car to, you know, potentially, you know, break down or, you know, have broken parts is not how you know, create a lifetime customer at all. People think, oh, well, you know, if I did a good job and did, you know, most of the job, 75% of it, and, you know, set them up for a 25% chance of failure in the next, you know, couple months, and they'll be back and they'll be a lifetime customer because I'll continue to do a quick, steady repair and they'll just want to keep on coming back. Well, a customer's not going to identify, you know, that you replace those, you know, pieces to their brake system. They're not gonna know. But be honest. Be an honest tech. You know, don't do hack jobs. You know, if you're doing I see a lot of people do it all the time, like sway bar end links and stuff like that. They will, you know, they'll cut them out and stuff like that, and they won't properly take them off. They'll, you know, everybody looks for that quick and easy fix to make more money quicker, and, you know, take Zolzols and stuff like that and cut parts off even though they're being replaced. Just because something's being replaced doesn't mean you need to destroy it and run the risk of possibly damaging a vehicle even more. So if you run the risk, I mean, if you did something like, say you use a Zolzol to cut a, you know, sway bar end link off, and, you know, you're cutting it and cutting it and cutting it and whatever, and next thing you know, you're cutting into the control arm, and now the control arm has a big cut in, a big gouge and cut in it. Then what you just did was messed another part up, and if you did that in the first place, that means you're not going to be honest that you just made a mistake. And because you made a mistake, you don't want to admit to it because you don't want it to come out of your paycheck. So do it right the first time. Don't have a comeback. I've never had a comeback. I've never had a damage claim, and I've never had a comeback yet. The only comeback I've ever had on a tow truck, or at all, due to the same problem that was the initial concern, was because of a part failure. I've had, you know, a couple of those, honestly. I did a crank seal, and that crank seal started leaking again because the part was no good. It was already, you know, I didn't notice it until later on. However, you know, crank seal was bad. Replaced the crank seal. New crank seal was no good either. Didn't, you know, hold like it was supposed to and how it was designed to, and so it came back for, you know, a leak again. And the customer was upset about it, and, you know, it's a free repair because it's warranted. Parts are warranted. If, you know, I'm not going to send you out and tell you, oh, well, you know, if it's no good, then, I mean, that's when you go to a, you know, a junkyard or whatever. You know, you go to a junkyard to pull parts off a car because you don't want to pay for new parts and you're going to repair it at home yourself. You're not you're paying very cheap money. You're not paying very much money at all for those parts, because it's a 50-50 shot that they're, you know, you take a chance, you run a chance of getting a part that was already broken on that car due to a collision or due to just age with the vehicle, that, you know, whoever owned that car before they wrecked it and it ended up in the junkyard in the first place just didn't have the money or the time to fix the vehicle. And that's just what it is. I mean, you can even take, you know, new cars. I see new cars in the junkyard all the time that, you know, parts on them are, you know, broken parts that are no good because either age of it just sitting there or somebody tried to, you know, take another part off. And that's another thing. If you do go to a junkyard or something, don't be the guy that sits there and breaks everything in his way and, you know, hacks everything, you know, potential parts that somebody else could use just to get to what you want to get to. And if you take a bunch of parts off of a vehicle at a junkyard or whatever, you know, at a scrap yard, and you're taking, you know, a bunch of parts off, don't just lay those parts right there for people to step and kick around. Pick the parts up, you know, at least slide them up underneath the car where they're not going to get, you know, too damaged, or even go to the next point of, you know, slide the parts inside of the vehicle. I mean, just lay them in the seat inside the car. Because when you do that, that allows somebody else to come around. They're like, oh, well, this part's already taken off. Somebody already has taken it off. I'm not telling you, you know, put the parts back on the car. I mean, I wouldn't sit there and take my time to put, you know, bolt parts back on the car. Unless it's something simple that I can just, you know, stick a bolt in it to hold it on there. I mean, it's just stuff like that. That, yeah, I'll put it back on at that point. But it just comes down to stuff like that. But I don't know. Moving, you know, more Firestone information is, you know, do they have trustworthy techs in a Firestone? I can't speak for every Firestone out there. The one that I currently work at now, do I believe those techs in that shop are trustworthy? So far, I can't really give you a straight answer on if they are or not. I would say I know at least two of them are, two that I've seen work, and I've heard really good things about the female technician that works there. They say she is very good at what she does. She's even, I mean, they said last week she turned 30 hours in one day without doing a motor job or nothing. She's turned 30 hours in one day, and that, I mean, that's cool. I mean, when you got, you know, badass tech like that, I mean, that's great. Me personally, what I want to do is, you know, I want to turn my first 100-hour ticket. I've never turned 100 hours in a week before. So it is what it is when it comes down to it like that. The shop tech, or the, you know, manager or whatever, he's not really happy with the fact that I want to turn 100 hours because he thinks I'm going to push myself and possibly have, you know, bad repairs that are comebacks, and it kind of scares him a little bit. He's like, look, he said, I believe you can turn 50, 60 hours. He said, shoot for, you know, 50, but he said, just, you know, be careful with that, and, you know, take your time, and, you know, don't make simple mistakes over, you know, just trying to do, you know, this or that, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, look, it's not a big deal. So he said, if you think you can do it, he said, I want you to shoot for your goals. He said, I want you to advance as a technician, as he would want anybody else in there to strive. My goal, though, is I have to turn at least, I want to turn at least 50 hours a week. If I'm there for 50 hours, I want to turn 50 hours. And he said he's hired people before that, you know, where he worked flat rate and they were turning 20-hour weeks and, you know, 30-hour weeks. And he said that's not acceptable. He said, if you're here for 50, he said you need to be turning at least 40 hours a week. He said the lowest amount of time anybody's ever turned was 30 hours. Um, he said that's just, you know, doing oil changes and tires. He said 30 hours. He said, but he said nobody has come close to that in so long. He said, so don't be that guy. And I completely understood where he was coming from with that. But me personally, you know, what I'm looking forward to is getting that first paycheck, because that first paycheck is going to go towards me getting on the tool truck and making a couple purchases on there. My initial goal on that tool truck is I'm going to get a set of pry bars, as well as I'm going to buy an impact wrench, and I'm also going to go ahead and get a set of ratcheting wrenches, and that's going to be my first tool purchase. My impact wrench alone is going to be like $500 because I'm going to get it from Matco. Matco has an impact wrench that I really like. And then from there, what I want to do is take that impact wrench and move forward with that. And I want to get those double-sided box end ratcheting wrenches again that I've had in the past. However, they got stolen out of my toolbox. Somebody took the whole set. Another thing that I want to do is, I just want to get that impact wrench and the 1/2-inch impact wrench. And I'm not really looking into buying any sort of, you know, impact sockets from the tool truck immediately, because I have impact sockets from Harbor Freight that I actually really like them. I don't mind them at all. I think they're, you know, a decent set. I've had no issues with them, as well as their swivel socket, impact swivel socket set that I've had no issues with their impact swivel socket set. I've had no, you know, main concern about them at all. Harbor Freight gets a lot of hate from professional technicians. However, me personally, I like a lot of stuff that Harbor Freight has, simply because it's cheap, it's lifetime warranted, and if the bolt's gonna come off, the nut's gonna come off, it's gonna take it off. If it's not gonna come off, then it's not gonna take it off. But at the end of the day, would I buy an impact wrench from Harbor Freight? No. I wouldn't buy an impact wrench from Harbor Freight for one reason, simply because as a professional technician, I believe that I need an impact wrench that is going to last. I need something that I can beat the hell out of it and, you know, get the job done. And that's just, you know, that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. You know, when it comes down to stuff like that, I mean, you need tools that are going to last. If you're gonna beat something up, my main concern about, you know, buying tools and whatnot is, you know, how much are you going to beat it up? How much are you going to use it? If you're going to beat the hell out of it, you know, spend the money. Go ahead and spend the money. Spend the money one time. I mean, don't just sit there and, you know, spend money on, you know, tools that just, you know, are going to keep breaking or whatever. Generally, I don't really see any concern. I don't have a main concern on any of the tools in my toolbox right now. Like the ratchets in my toolbox, I like them because of the comfort grip on them, as well as another big seller for me was that Pittsburgh ratchets from Harbor Freight are not terrible. I like them. The only other ratchet that I want to buy is going to be that 3/8 comfort grip ratchet from Matco. Simply the reason why I want to buy that is because it has a flex head and I like the locking system. Another YouTube channel that I watch called Flat Rate Master, he has that 3/8 ratchet, and when I seen it I was like, wow. I just really like, you know, the 3/8 Matco. I like to buy a lot of Matco tools. I don't, Matco gets a lot of hate. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people hate on Matco. They're like, oh, buy Mac or buy Snap-on. I'm just like, no. Matco's the same quality to me. It does the same thing that I need it to do. The only real downside of Matco is, you know, some of their stuff is pointless to... Some of their stuff could be better. Pretty much. I mean, when you think about buying like chrome sockets, that's a big thing. Fucking chrome sockets. Everybody wants to have the Snap-on chrome sockets. The good thing about chrome sockets that Snap-on makes is they have like, so at Ford, specifically Ford, they do like door latches and stuff like that. When you get inside the door latch, you need a 5.5mm socket. Snap-on has that 5.5, which, you know, even Stanley makes them too, but Snap-on, their 5.5 is perfect. It fits on that it fits on that fastener very well. It works better in my opinion, but I'm not just gonna buy one socket from Snap-on. If I bought a Snap-on socket, I would buy, you know, a chrome set, but quite honestly, when it comes down to, you know, this or that, blah blah blah, whatever it may be, I don't have a problem with any chrome set. I've had many chrome sockets. I've had Husky, I've had Stanley, I've had DeWalt, I've had Craftsman, I've had Snap-on, I've had Matco, Mac. I've had pretty much all these different brands of chrome sockets that I just replaced over time. Not because one was better than the other, because when it comes down to a socket, if it fits, then it'll take it off. I mean, if it's gonna come off, it'll come off. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, if it's gonna come off, it'll come off. Chrome socket, I mean, it's a size. I mean, they're, you know, some are made tougher, some are, you know, more fine, and, you know, but I've never rounded a bolt off using the proper size. I've rounded bolts off using sizes that were not made for what I was doing with them, but I'm actually going to back out of this lobby. I want to open a depot. I want to open a supply crate, but I want to find that links. Who makes the links? Is it? I think it's this one. Where's that? There it is, right there. That's Copperhead. Okay, so we'll buy the Copperhead. Well, that was kind of pointless. That was a duplicate. Okay, well, that's for tribal. I don't care about that, and this is for Enforce, which I, again, don't really care for. Anyway, but the what else is in this collection though? Anyway, So when it comes down to like sockets and stuff, though, it doesn't really matter. A lot of people make a big deal about it, but I mean, really, when you buy a Snap-on Chrome socket, you're paying for the name. You're paying for the name on the socket. I mean, just to see Snap-on on the socket is pretty much the biggest thing. I see a lot of people with Snap-on stuff. Oh, ow! I see people with Snap-on stuff a lot, and it's fine. Buy what you want. Me personally, do I buy from Snap-on? Yes and no. I don't buy a lot from Snap-on, but I buy a little bit from Snap-on here and there. My biggest thing of what I like to buy is Matco. I buy a lot of Matco. I buy a lot of Matco tools. That's just me. I like Matco. I like buying Matco. Matco's my go-to. It's my favorite stuff. I don't know. They just make good stuff in my opinion. But the big thing with it is just buy what you want. Buy what's comfortable. Buy what works well for you. The best way to get the opportunity to know if something works or not is, you know, if somebody else in the shop has it and they're willing to let you borrow it to test it out, then, you know, go from there. Me personally, as a newer tech, only being, you know, 5 years in, I still don't really notice a huge difference between tools other than feel. Like when I do rear struts in a Ford, like a Ford Explorer, and they got the tower bolts on top, having those double-sided ratcheting box end wrenches was so awesome compared to sitting there with a wrench and just, you know, on and off. The ratcheting wrenches, I can't live without them at this point. I need to get another set. Even if it was a gear wrench, I would buy it. My other big thing is I want the Matco impact gun, but at the same time I kind of want the M18 Milwaukee half-inch electric, but I don't know. I'll decide eventually, but I kind of want that Matco because I don't know. I don't know what color I want my toolbox and everything to be, because I do need to buy another toolbox. It's either going to be black and red or black and green. Or black and orange. It's either going to be black and orange, black and green, or black and red. But I really like red. I think I'm going to go for red this time. But then from there as well, another big thing for me is going to be, you know, another big thing for me is just gonna simply be, you know, buying different tools and stuff like that. But I do want to buy that Matco roll cart. I really like that roll cart, and I don't really have all that many tools to fit in a, you know, I don't really need like 20 drawers right now, because I couldn't fill 20, especially like the long drawers. I couldn't fill. I could probably fit, with all the tools I have, if I had 3 long drawers, I could fit every tool I had and within those 3 drawers, organized and all. Another big thing though, but working at Firestone, so, you know, some more stuff about that. You know, the bad was, you know, I got a lot of hate throughout the day. A lot of people were like, oh my god, you don't know what you're doing, and I was not repair wise, but the big thing was the lift. The lift was the hardest part for me to overcome, because their lift is a lot different than any lift that I've ever used. I've always used 4-post drive-on rack, and if I didn't use a 4-post drive-on rack, I used a 2-post lift with 4, you know, the 4 arms. I've seen people use 2-post lifts with just 2 arms, which, you know, that's cool too. I prefer 4 arms. Takes, yeah, I mean, it's going to take longer to set it up. However, you know, it's a safer lift than just having two rack arms. But the lifts at Firestone, it's like a big pole that comes out of the ground, and the lift arms sit on the ground, and they're just really weird. And they're like these, you know, metal plates that, you know, go up and down and whatnot, whatever. And it's just not, it's not really comfortable to me. I'm not comfortable with them yet. But definitely the cool part about them is they do go up. They do lift up or whatever. You could set, you know, the arms up differently. But me personally, I still prefer the adapters and the two-post lift and stuff like that. And that's just what I'm used to using, compared to their lift, which I think if I'm going to drop a car off a lift in my career, it's going to be at Firestone. Just simply because those lifts are not, they're just not my thing. Another big issue that I have within that is it's weird. But another thing to look at within all of, you know, the rest of things is that you have just the lift is weird, and putting them up in the air, it's just so weird. They have to like, you got to build pressure on the lift and everything, and if you want to put it back down, you have to let the air out of the lift to, you know, let it decompress. And then there's like this lock on the floor that, you know, it's super stupid to pull out, you know, back towards you to release it, and everything else. It's just so, it's weird. Everything about it is just weird. None of it really makes any sense to me. And it's just, I don't know, it's just not comfortable to me, personally. I'm just not comfortable with it. Another thing though, within all of that, is the setup for like the oil. Like, they got 530 conventional that comes out of the air. It's in a gun, which that's something that's a little weird for me. But if you're just going to use, you know, 530 conventional, that's fine. Me personally, what I don't like is when you do want to get some oil though, like say you're trying to get oil out of, you know, the big, they have like these oil, but like it's kind of like a water tank, the white water tanks, like a water box or whatever. They have oil in those, and then you got to go in there and like measure the oil out in these jugs. But when you measure that oil out in those jugs, it's like you're not on a flat surface, so you're just kind of putting oil in there, just taking a guesstimate with it, and it's just like, whatever. So that's weird too for me, but I don't know. I'm just not used to doing oil changes. It sounds so stupid that, you know, out of all the repairs that I do, the oil changes are the worst. Simply because I don't like doing oil changes. I never have. I think it's dumb. It's just a preventive maintenance thing. I'm just not a preventive type of guy. I'm a drivability repair type of guy. I like to do suspension work. I like to do drivetrain work. I like to do some motor work, a little bit of transmission work. I know how to do it all, but preferably I would like to, you know, do valve cover gaskets, and I would like to do, you know, replace hoses and just different stuff like that. I mean, it's just serpentine belts are not, you know, nothing big to really change. So it all just kind of comes down to, you know, what are you good at, what do you like to do. Tires and oil, that's not my thing. I did tires and oil my first year as a tech, and that's all I really got to do, and I just hated it so much. But suspension work and brake work and stuff like that, that's easy money that, you know, you get paid an hour or so to do, and you know, you can do it really quickly, and it's not bad. It's not bad at all. CV axles are fun to do too, because they're real easy for the most part. I mean, you can't really screw that up. But it's just things, I mean, it's just little things like that. But the other thing that I don't like is, I don't like really the atmosphere of some things. Like the people there, I mean, they're decent people, but it's just kind of like I don't really fit in too well there as I thought I was going to. People give you a hard time, pretty much. But another big thing within all of that is I just like to work. I mean, I just like to do my own thing. I don't want to talk. I'm not really there to make friends. I'm just there to make my money and go home. And beyond that, you know, beyond all of that, it's just not something that, it's kind of like up and down throughout the day. Things will get better the longer I'm there. I mean, I don't really have to get along with people to work there and to enjoy working there, because simply I don't have to talk to people. If I don't want to talk, I don't have to talk. I don't have to make discussion. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is work, period. Just work. And that's just as simple as it gets. I mean, as a tech, especially being the FNG, you don't have to talk, you don't have to make friends. A big thing that I did do my first day was I kind of pushed a little bit too hard on some things, but it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, I push and I get my work done, and that's what the manager told me. He's like, look, I don't care what you do. He said turn some hours. That's all he wants from me, is turn hours, and as long as I'm turning hours, it is what it is. But beyond that, going to work every day is not hard. I don't mind getting up and going. I don't mind working. There will be aggravating times. There will be aggravating days. There will be days that I don't want to be there. And there'll be times where I just want to tell somebody to shut the hell up. But, you know, it's just not really what I'm going to do, because it's not worth doing. I just want to turn hours and make money. And then from there, beyond all of that, I want to buy tools and upgrade my toolbox and all this stuff, and I'm gonna upgrade my toolbox. I'm gonna work with Firestone. I'm be completely honest with you, I'm not gonna stay there. I won't stay there forever. I might stay at Firestone for the next year. I plan to be there for the next 6 months to the next six months to a year. At 6 months of being at Firestone, I'm going to start searching for another shop to work at, because hopefully at 6 months, by 6 months, I will have every tool that I like to use every day, like all my everyday tools. I will have those, and I will also have a toolbox by that point that I can then take and go to another shop. But it's just stuff like that you gotta look at, you gotta work with, and just move past, and, you know, continue pushing forward. So 6 months, I'm gonna be there for at least 6 months. I'll probably I'll probably be out of there by my 8th month. But at the same time, you know, I might get to 6 months and you know, everything at that point might be, you know, calmed down. You know, stuff might, you know, change at that point. You know, if I'm there for 6 months, you know, it might show the guys there, they'll probably be like, oh, well, you know, you're good tech, you know, you don't ask for help, you don't use my stuff, and, you know, you don't really get on my nerves because you don't talk all that much, so, hey, by all means, you know, stay, chill, be here, whatever, not a big deal. And I think that's a big thing that people don't really realize, is that, you know, it's kind of whatever, not a big deal. Definitely am looking forward to expanding my toolbox though. That's the biggest thing for me right now, is to expand that toolbox. Because my goals for the rest of this year is I want to have $10,000 in my bank account. I want to put 10 grand away. On top of putting 10 grand away, what else I want to do is I want to put 10 grand away, and then from there I also want to I'm looking to move to a new area further up state, and go there and live there and work there is my goal by the end of the year. As well as I would like to buy a new vehicle that is a decent, reliable choice. And I would also prefer to buy a new toolbox, buy all my everyday tools that I'll use on a natural, normal basis, and not really have them paid off, but at least be at a point where, you know, I'm making payments on them and everything will be fine. So it comes down, it's just stuff like that it comes down to. So that's pretty much it. I mean, that's what I want to do. So there's not, you know, that's pretty much all the negatives about that shop that I've seen so far, is that, and it's really small and it's cram-packed in there, and, you know, it's really tight. There's no real room between each bay. There's 3 doors with 6 bays, 5 bays, and 1 alignment rack. So really you could only have a total you could really only have a total of 5 people in the shop at one time, except for apparently on like Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, they want like everybody there. And Sundays are really busy apparently too, so it's just kind of like whatever. So it is what it is. Comes out to be, you know, this and that, whatever. But you just gotta make the best of everything. I mean, you can't complain. You can't get your feelings hurt. You just gotta continue to move forward and, you know, get over it. I mean, just keep moving forward. The good things about the shop that I do like though is, I don't know, just the freedom of being able to diagnose my own stuff and move forward. Another good thing that I like is, I don't know. I don't know what else I like. I did find that when I did that, my very first car by myself yesterday, which was that Honda CR-V brake job, as soon as I started, you know, turning wrenches on that, I don't know, I re-fell in love with being a technician again. I just felt comfortable. And that's why I like doing repairs. I like feeling comfortable when I do a repair. So it is what it is, but I don't know. What time is it? I can't even tell you. Oh, 6:55. Well, my alarm just went off, so that means I can skedaddle on off of here. I need to take a shower and get ready to go back to work today. Which is gonna be hard, because I'm tired. But hopefully throughout the day I'll wake up and get some stuff done. But other than that, FNG, the Pro TV, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here.